are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast. I'm Dylan Ableton on Twitter. Talk the latest in Auburn athletics news. As today, we're going to talk about what Auburn's Christmas list should look like going into this portal cycle. I got 5, I'll say and a half. I have an honorable mention on here. Positions that Auburn should be going after whenever the portal season opens up on January 2nd. Of course, no new names have entered the portal since the last time we were talking to each other. So currently Auburn only has, I believe, 8 was the number we talked about. 8 total that have announced their intention to enter the portal, with probably some more on the way. So Auburn has a whole new coaching staff, pretty much. Not a whole new staff. I mean, there's some guys who are staying, but they've made some hires since the last time we talked about this new staff, hiring DeMarcus Van Dyke and Tim Banks to kind of go at it with the secondary. DVD is what he's what I've been seeing him call, but Van Dyke was played at Miami under Coach McGriff, who will not be staying with Auburn, which is a massive blow. But I think what you're getting in Van Dyke kind of mirrors that a lot. I mean, he is a crime dog guy. So and I really like the send-off that Crime Dog gave. And he said, I love that he loved passing the torch off to a guy he coached. So love that a lot. I also do really like the Tim Banks hire as the safeties coach. He's produced some very good defenses in his past. I mean, he's also a guy who's been at Auburn before. So I do really like that hire a lot, which him being the safeties or not. Yeah, hold on. I was looking at the wrong guy. But I do like the backstory. I think he's produced a lot of good defenses at Tennessee and overall just, a guy who was Broyles finalist material just, a year ago. And, Tennessee's moved on from him, going, I think, for Jim Knowles from Penn State. So that's not a bad move for them. But 2022, just looking back that far, Tim Banks did produce a very, very good defense and was the defensive coordinator for Tennessee, while Golesh was the offensive coordinator. So love that. Or 2021, one of the 2 years it was. But 2022, yeah, that was right. So, yeah, very good hires for Auburn. And I think they're going to fare well for Auburn when it comes to the portal cycle. And we'll get to more about the safeties in a second. But I do want to go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, which is going through my Christmas list. I have 6 positions, top 5, and an honorable mention that Auburn needs to go after during this portal cycle. So my honorable mention is a quarterback 2, but this is a stipulation for this one. It's only if Ashton Daniels transfers. I think everyone and their mother agrees that if Deuce Knight stays, he's going to be quarterback 1. He's a guy who fits very well into this Alex Golesh offense, a quarterback that is a very good runner and can let it fly all over the place. Ashton Daniels also fits into that mold. But I think whenever it comes to running the ball, I think Deuce is more efficient of a runner. But I think Ashton Daniels would do a great job of helping mentor Deuce Knight if he were to stay, but also understand if he doesn't, Auburn would need a backup quarterback. You're bringing a guy in from the class of 26, and you got some walk-ons that could make that time, but need to get a veteran quarterback to get behind Deuce Knight, kind of help him continue his growth as a starter and as an SEC caliber quarterback. Deuce has all the talent in the world, and all Auburn needs to do at this moment is hone it and develop it. And again, he has the talent to be an all-timer when it's all said and done, just how good he can be. So get to my top 5. My number 5 is running back. Now, I don't think this is looking for a running back to replace Jeremiah Cobb. I think Jeremiah Cobb is your for sure running back 1. But what we've seen from Alex Golesh's offense is it's always been a running back by committee. So you need to find guys who can, complement what Jeremiah Cobb can do. And again, we don't know exactly. I've heard a lot about Alvin Henderson. People are, I don't know to trust any of them, but never know who is going to enter the portal and when. And I imagine if you can maintain Jeremiah Cobb, I think that you just need to fill it in with some backs who can hammer it in next to him. And I think Omar Mapson can develop into that as well. But I think you still need about one or so running backs. It really showed at the end of the year that Auburn was missing guys to get carries from them. So I do really think that running back is a key position here, just because you need other guys to get carries. You can't have Jeremiah Cobb getting 30 carries a game. He's good for 20. 30 is asking for too much, but really showed late in the season that when Auburn wanted to run the ball, they had to rely solely on Jeremiah Cobb and had no one they trusted to go in and kind of shift things around for them. So desperately need to get a running back that can complement Cobb this upcoming season. So yeah, running back's big. Up next, number 4 for me is wide receiver. So I fully believe, and I have no facts behind this whatsoever, that On to Victory is doing everything they possibly can to make sure Cam Coleman is hanging up the phone on every single other school that's trying to call him up to enter the portal. I also believe the same thing for Malcolm Simmons. So I think those two guys, I would pray to the Lord above that they are locks to return. I don't know about Eric Singleton. I know Horatio Fields, Perry Thompson already entered the portal. Auburn has some wide receiver talent on this roster that we have not seen yet. So that would mean I would need Auburn to get some portal receivers. I understand that, USF guys might be the case here, but they were very good this past year. And again, they have the connection to Cody Burns and Alex Golesh both. So it wouldn't surprise me if Auburn attacked that and went after bring in some more of that USF talent. I mean, they were a very good team last year, so can't say no to that. So I can expect wide receiver to be on a shopping list for Auburn going into that 10-day transfer portal period. And again, just having Cody Burns. And again, I have not seen anything about Marcus Davis leaving. He's still listed on the staff page. So I can only imagine they're still trying to work and find a role for him. And again, keeping him along with Cody Burns, I mean, that's a tandem that can't be beat. And again, I know there was some people saying that Marcus Davis wasn't a good wide receiver coach. Completely disagree. I love Marcus Davis. He's a great recruiter. And I think he's turned this wide receiver room into one that defenses should be scared of. Auburn just has to get a quarterback who can get the ball to him. And then everyone will be proven that Marcus Davis is quite literally a prodigy in the making, wide receiver, or just coach in general. So yeah, really think Auburn should attack wide receivers in this. I did forget to mention Auburn did hire a new running back coach in Larry Porter. That was something I meant to talk about the running backs, but guy with Auburn history as well. So yeah, offense is pretty much the sole meat and potatoes of Auburn's portal cycle. I think defensively, it's going to be a lot of depth. I think defensively, Auburn is just going to be finding guys who can, rotate in interior D linemen, exterior edge rushers, linebackers, cornerbacks. I think that's just a lot of depth for Auburn going forward. But position that I think Auburn really needs to go after here is safety. And I understand Antoine Fegans and Eric Winters are going to develop very nicely, and I think Auburn needs a lot of depth in that room. I think Caleb Harris still has a lot of talent. And I think Caleb Harris is going to develop very nicely with this new regime. Jacquez Robinson left a lot to be desired this past year. I mean, there was a lot of missed opportunities in coverage led by Jacquez Robinson. He's a good tackler, but just was not able to get it done. Again, I think the safety can also comply with the star position. I think Auburn had some rotation there. And again, it sucked losing Champ Anthony for the year. I think if Champ Anthony can return or will return, Auburn's kind of solid there if he can just stay healthy. But safety, I do find to be a position of need. It was Auburn's worst position this past year by far defensively. And I hope with a new safeties coach and just new DBs coach altogether, it kind of changes that. Because again, pass defense was the worst part. The secondary was. But it'll be. It was never corners, in my opinion. Corners always were like freak accident happening in the backfield with safeties. So I expect Auburn to attack the safety position in the portal just to add some more weight to that one and add a lot more talent. That way rotations can be made at a higher volume. But again, if Eric Winters and Antoine Fegans can go ahead and start developing into the talent that they already are, Auburn is set for life right there, or at least for 2 more years. But yeah, I think, again, that's like the worst part of the defense last year. And that's really the only position of need I have defensively. I think Auburn just has to get some safeties that can, cover, and then right as rain, number one defense in the country. But again, it's hard to get that whenever your offense was so bad. And again, going back to the offensive side of the ball, offensive tackle. Auburn has whiffed back-to-back years at the offensive tackle position. Guys just not working out. This past year, Xavier Chaplin, Mason Murphy just weren't it. They were not prepared for SEC play. Xavier Chaplin was constantly jumping off sides. And it turns out halfway through the year, he was just deaf whenever it came to loud noise. So, yeah, that's not what you want as an offensive tackle. Mason Murphy, dude was just so slow whenever it came to getting off, and guys were just getting right by him. So offensive tackle was a big position needed. And this is just not left tackle, right tackle. This is tackles. That exterior. I mean, Dylan Wade, Jeremiah Wright had some miscues, but I think ultimately they did a very good job of protecting the quarterback at times. And I very rarely called them out as much as I called out the other two. And again, center, Auburn went from a great to a great. Connor Lew, I believe, he's not said specifically, but I do believe Connor Lew will be going to the NFL draft. Going to get taken very highly as long as that injury bug doesn't affect his draft stock. He's a very good center. I think Kale Ellis can be just as good as Connor Lew. And I think he did a very good job. He only had one bad game, and that was the game where he got thrown in after the injury. But other than that, I think Kale Ellis, and again, he was on a freshman team for the season, which, again, I think Auburn struck gold back-to-back centers in recruiting cycles. Not back-to-back as in like one after the other, but true freshman guy with Connor Lew going in there with an injury after an injury and balling out. Kale Ellis did the same thing. Connor Lew goes out, he comes in, balls out. So again, center and guards, we don't know what the guard position is going to look like, but I do know that tackles were such a weak part. Jackson Arnold had a lot of issues when it came to holding on to the football. But again, there were a lot of times where he just got sacked because he had no time to even think about holding the football any longer. So, yeah, offensive tackle is big time. Number one position of need. And I have it in all caps because, oh my God, this position was embarrassing to watch this past year. Best guys got injured. Younger guys never really got a chance to ball out. And Auburn was stuck with an eyesore of one throughout the entirety of the year. I'm talking about the tight end position. This is a position where, Auburn, to me, has done a solid job in the past of recruiting and developing and, just having solid tight ends. I mean, I'm looking back to Philip Lutzenkirk and CJ Uzama. I think Brandon Foltz was a pretty solid tight end at times. Rivaldo Fairweather, there's been solid tight ends in the recent history of Auburn football. But, dude, this year was bad. Brandon Frazier had some injuries, and I think he was the best tight end in that room, and he showed that, but wasn't on the field all that much. And in replacement of that was Preston Howard. Preston Howard was bad, flat out bad. I would be remiss to even say the word awful. Drop after drop after drop, missed assignments all over the place, blocking wise. Auburn needs to find a tight end. And then one thing I've loved about Alex Golesh is he is a guy who is going to have a tight end ball out. That is his scheme. He is utilizing the tight end position, and he needs one badly. I mean, we don't know what exactly to expect from Ryan Gee or Hollis Davidson. Don't really know what their future looks like, but but we also never got to see them on the field. So I would expect, if their talent is still at the level which they were recruited for, I don't see Golesh allowing them to go, but, just letting them go on by. I expect Golesh to be able to develop this talent and see the talent and get the best guys on the field, because what Auburn did last year was not putting the best guy in the position to catch the football. Tight end was such a weak spot of this team that it became, it was basically a headache for me every time I watched Auburn draw up anything where Preston Howard was the first read. I'm trying to remember, I think it was the Missouri game. I think Auburn pretty much lost the Missouri game because of a Preston Howard drop. and that's one game. There are a lot of games where he made a lot of drops. I would say he probably led the team in them. Dude was bad. Dude was so bad. And again, I hope he finds if he transfers out, I hope he finds a school that can utilize his talents, that he can develop into a solid tight end for his sake. But when he wore that Auburn jersey, man, oh man, he was not good. So didn't really get to see the younger guys again. And I can't even think of really a Tate Johnson is an offensive lineman who moved the tight end, but didn't really get to see him do anything outside of block. But I expect Auburn to get one or two of these tight ends, like get a true pass catching tight end, and then get you a guy who can do a little bit of both, and that's blocking and that's catching the football. That way you have a Swiss Army knife at tight end that you can utilize at any given time. So, and again, I've already heard some guys that Auburn probably will be looking at to get for tight ends. I could not live in a world where Auburn goes 2 years of having unreliable tight end play. I mean, I can't say I was the biggest fan of Sal Cannella. I think Sal Cannella made a lot of like embarrassing drops during his time at Auburn. But dude, there are at least like a 45-second highlight reel of him making some phenomenal catches. I couldn't even tell you how many catches Preston Howard had this year. And if he did, if there is one out there, I can go ahead and tell you, I'd imagine he had more drops. So again, these are positions to me that I think Auburn, running back, wide receiver, are more depth. And, safeties, if you're looking at Anquan Fegans, Eric Winters, and Caleb Harris, and you want to really lead off with those three, again, that's a depth position too. Tackle and tight end are the two positions to me where you are looking for flat-out starters. You are looking for guys who are going to hop into your scheme right away, and they are going to be your starting position players. Again, guards, I could see Auburn going for starters in that one, but tackle and tight end are my two top ones. Defensively, I think it's a lot of depth. I think D-line, I think you have a lot of guys that you can really build on there. Jordan Crawford, Malik Autry, Malik Blockton, all those guys I think can really develop into very, very good D linemen interiorly. Edge rushers, I think you're looking at Amaris Williams as going to be one of your big-time guys. He'll be in the limelight this year. He won't have to wait behind Keldrick Falk. He'll be the guy getting out there the first time around. I think he made a lot of great things. Jared Smith, same thing for him. True freshman, balled out whenever he got the opportunities to. And then it's just looking for guys to get behind them and really push them. I think Chris Murray was a great pickup this year. I think he was a one-year guy. I think he'll be going off to trying to get an NFL contract. Kieran Crawford already accepted the invite to a Senior Bowl, so he'll be going off to the NFL draft. Keldrick Falk the same way. Linebackers, I'll be very interested to see how linebackers kind of pans out. I think Xavier Atkins, already a guy who's been snubbed for awards. I think he is a guy who should be up for the Butt Kiss Awards. Just say, if you ask me, Jacob Rodriguez aside, there's not a better linebacker in the country than Xavier Atkins. There's just not. Dude's an absolute manimal and again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. And if Cam Coleman and Xavier Atkins stay for however long, I'd even say Cam Coleman just this year, go on and get ready to retire those jersey numbers. 8 and 17, those two guys are just that different. And I'd be remiss not put Malcolm Simmons in that as well. But Cam Coleman, to me, already one of the top receivers in Auburn football history. Xavier Atkins, I think you are looking at him as an all-time great. If he can have a season like he had this year, dude, first round pick, without a doubt in my mind. But Elijah Melendez, I think is probably going to fit in that starting role. I think DeMarcus Riddick will be one of those guys that are immediately put in, if not a starter next year, just kind of depending on how the injury panned out for him. I can't remember exactly what kind of injury it was, but I know it sidelined him for like the whole end of the season. But like those three linebackers to me are very, very good. So just finding another guy to kind of fit in there and get into the rotation. Cornerback, same thing. I mean, I don't know the future yet of Kyan Lee, but I know Jay Crawford, a very good man-to-man guy. Just kind of finding guys to kind of step up. I would like to see Rashawn Pleasant get a little bit more development as a cornerback. I think he's still a guy you kind of just like rotate in. I don't think he's a starting corner, but he's a very, very good return man. So with Auburn's new special teams coordinator, Jacob Bernowski, hope to see a lot more kick return touchdowns. I don't expect Auburn to go after kicker in this one unless you just want a guy to sit behind McPherson just in case he needs, a guy like that. But I would just need a more reliable kicker than any of the guys that are currently behind McPherson. I do expect Towns Magoo to hit the portal. He's been posting a lot of his own highlights on Twitter, so I guess he just hasn't announced it yet. But from at least what I know of football and what I know of athletes, if you're posting your highlights a lot, you're really trying to get recruited by another school. But Towns Magoo is a talented kicker. He was very talented at Auburn High. He's got his head a lot. He was in his head a whole lot. He had the yips for 2 years, and it showed. So if Auburn can just get a kicker behind him, and again, Auburn has always bred good kickers throughout the entirety. So just letting McPherson get another year, and then just kind of go full steam ahead on the next guy after McPherson. But I wouldn't be mad at getting a backup there. And again, those are really Auburn's going to attack everything. Golesh is going to get his guys. So we're really going to see what a Golesh team looks like. Again, I'm waiting till after portal season to really kind of get a grip of what this team looks like on paper. Again, tonight we'll talk about on Sunday, but tonight they are announcing the full schedule for this upcoming season. So just kind of where the games kind of line up. Everyone already knows the season's going to begin with Baylor. Season's going to end with Alabama, but kind of figure out where those games in the middle kind of play out. So we talk about that on the Sunday edition of the College League podcast. Sorry for the Thursday live stream. It just kind of happens that way. It's been so very busy. It's getting ready to be finals week for the school I teach at. So crazy week, very tiring week at that too. So I'll go ahead and get out of here. Those are my top 5. I'll go ahead. I do have some comments. I'll go. Big Jen, O-lineman, tight end. Yep. My 1 and 2. Do you think future recruiting will suffer since Kenyatta Watson is leaving? Again, I liked Kenyatta Watson a lot, and a lot of the players did as well. What I will say to that regard, I think Kenyatta Watson did a lot of great things at Auburn, but Auburn should always have been a school that can recruit themselves. I don't imagine Auburn will lose a lot of players because of it. But I trust what Golesh can do recruiting-wise. He has a long, extensive history in recruiting, so he understands what to do. If there's any kind of suffering or decline in recruiting, it's because something went wrong in the hiring process in this staff. Again, I fully believe that he has the talent to recruit, and he's hiring a staff that can do it as well. Kenyatta Watson, it was a big blow when it happened, but again, I do think Auburn. I think Auburn will recover for any recruits that they might have lost because of Kenyatta Watson going to Boston College. I don't know if I imagine them going to Boston College and following them there. But regardless, I think Auburn recruiting will continue, not at this current pace, but we'll get right back to, recruiting back into the top 15, top 10 level because of what Golesh can do and what his staff will do. Again, history of recruiting, understand the game, understand the change happening going forward. So I expect Auburn recruiting to get right back into the fold of being, winning the state of Alabama and back into, being atop the list for the SEC. Not at the very top, at least. Hopefully the very top, but back into that mix, the LSUs, the Georgias, and so on and so forth. So go on, get out of here. Shorter show today, shorter live stream. As we get out, let me know what your positions of need you think Auburn should go after in this portal season. Again, starting on January 2nd. Only 8 Tigers thus far have announced their intentions to enter the transfer portal. At least that's all I've seen thus far. So just let me know what positions you think Auburn should go after in the portal. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe right here on the YouTube channel at The College Loop. Also, don't forget to check me out on Instagram and Twitter at your boy the Tank on Twitter, at Dylan Larck on Instagram. Go check us out over there. Also, every single social media platform as well at the College Loop. Try to get back into posting more on social media. Again, crazy time of the year for all education levels. So that being said, go and get out of y'all's hair. Go enjoy your Thursday evenings and get ready for Friday. Thank God tomorrow is Friday. So go and get out of here. Thank you all for tuning us on the College Podcast yet again. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Help us get to our next milestone of 2,000 subscribers. And with that being said, and as always, war